What is this great conversation you're about to hear? Hello, everyone. This is W, host of the High Art on the Edge page. I'm an online event planner that supports artists' work from all over the world. They create the product. I help organize and execute a memorable event on social media for their fans, family members, and friends. In addition, I host online events called Surprise, where online friends and I shine a bright spotlight on an artist's work. What do In Excess, Nick Cave, and the Bad Seeds, and The Church have in common? They are all considered to be highly influential bands from Australia. Let's not forget about Midnight Oil. This explosive group of talented musicians released 3 consecutive albums from 1987 to 1993: Diesel and Dust, Blue Sky Mining, and Earth and Sun and Moon. The perfect trifecta. In this entertaining conversation, my dearest friend DVG and I discuss thoughtful lyrics, concert experiences, and even silver and gold medal tracks from all 3 of these impactful albums. So, grab yourself a drink, have a seat, sit back, and enjoy today's discussion on what makes Midnight Oil's music full of endless power and passion. Hello, everyone. This is W, host of the High Art on the Edge page. Today, December 16th, Saturday. This is surprise number 22, and we've got a beauty for you. That is right. We are heading over to Australia to shine a spotlight on a band that my co-host and I have dearly loved for so many years. Of course, we are talking about the mighty, the passionate Midnight Oil. And who better to do this with me? Another go around with DVG, Dave Von Geer. As our previous one, we shined a spotlight on the mighty Lemon Drops. So today we are going to honor this band, but we're going to do it kind of a unique way. We're not going to look at all their albums. We're going to look at 3 specific albums. Much more on that later. Let's bring in DVG. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Doing great, W. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Happy holidays to you. And before we begin, I've always got a question for my co-host. So here's my first question. In 3 words, could you please describe what Midnight Oil means to you? Or how would you describe their sound?
In 3 words? Powerful, authentic, passionate.
Perfect. And can you tell us, when did you first notice you were gravitating towards their music? Like, oh, I'm really starting to appreciate what this band has to offer.
Well, I think when I was familiar with a handful of songs before Diesel and Dust came out, and Beds Are Burning kind of blew up, and everyone was aware of it. And I like some of their early stuff, but they still seem like this sort of weird, inaccessible Australian band with a huge, tall, bald guy as a singer. But what really got me is, back in the day when Diesel and Dust came out, you couldn't just download Beds Are Burning on, Spotify. So, it's when I'm like, okay, I like this one song. Sure. I'll take a chance on the album. And to hear that album and hear the depth of it, the variety of songs, the amazing musicianship, I'm like, oh, these guys, I mean, I knew they had plenty of albums before it, but they're not just some group that puts one great song on an album and the rest is filler that you have to sort of slog through. It was so good from start to finish that I went back and listened to some of their earlier albums, which I found a little more inconsistent, but still plenty of great stuff there.
I think for me was because 1987 had so much great music. And I remember that was such a staple on MTV, right? Heavy rotation. Of course, Beds Are Burning video, very indelible. But what really turned it for me was when we went to go see them live for that tour. And I remember just being so in awe of just this sheer, like they are phenomenal performers. They, as Bruce Springsteen likes to say often, they exhaust the tank. And I remember when they slowed it down for Put Down That Weapon, there was just something in that moment. I was like, oh my God. Now, I don't know if I truly could articulate it, but I just look in reflection could say that was kind of the defining moment for me. I'm like, this is something dearly special.
Well, and you mentioned Rob Hurst, and often if I go see a band, naturally you're focusing on the lead singer, and it's hard not to focus on Peter Garrett with his herky jerky dance moves and his size and just his overall presence. If I'm not watching the lead singer, I'm often watching the guitarist, the bassist. Midnight Oil is a rare band. First thing I'm going to is I'm watching Rob Hurst, because not only phenomenal drummer, and you really can't appreciate that till you see him live, but the backing vocals that he provides,
Yes,
just takes their songs to another level. And again, it's not some studio trick. It's even better live. And wow, the balance of well, the contrast of his voice with Peter Garrett's, they work well together, but they're just work great separately. And you don't always get that. I feel like some bands you see, and some of the band members are sort of reluctantly doing backing vocals, or they do it, but it doesn't sound great. And I'm like, wow, not only is he a phenomenal drummer, but man, his voice, magical.
So let's start. Let's kick this off with, of course, I'm sorry, I just said Beds of Burning, Diesel and Dust. I want to give you some context, as I often do with these events. What albums came out that year? Freaking! When I went back and I'm like, oh my God. All right, well, we got to start with one of your favorites, is Depeche Mode. Of course, that's Music for the Masses. REM, Document. A little known band called Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. And then, of course, what some consider to be one of the greatest albums of the decade, if not of all time, The Joshua Tree by U2. So this is, I feel like Midnight Oil and Billy Bragg to me are my two political, social commentary on life's issues. And I feel like with Diesel and Dust, here is an album that came out and just exploded like a freaking powder keg, and really was the album that, pushed them overseas to us in a way that, okay, stand up, take notice. Great themes of environmental issues, political strife, social strife, indigenous situations. But this to me was, in looking at that cover, that striking cover, this is an album that over time still has a tremendous amount of punch. So I call it kind of like the Muhammad Ali album for them. It was just like, we're going to knock you down, and we're going to be loud, and we're going to be anthemic about it. Why don't we start with our bronze medal track, and I'll throw this over to you. This was hard, but what is your third pick there?
Well, I was texting you because I know all these albums really, really well, but I've been re-listening to them over the last few weeks. I texted you, I think about a week ago. I'm like, I just listened to Diesel and Dust again. How am I supposed to pick 3 songs off this? There is not a dud. It's amazing. It kind of reminds me of REM a little bit, and then it's like, we're going to have a bunch of great albums, but they're kind of, college albums but we want to go mainstream, but we want to do it our way. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Document or Green from REM. Like, okay, we're still staying true to ourselves, but it's going to be a little more anthemic, a little bigger, a little more popular. And I feel like Midnight Oil did that with Diesel and Dust. Phenomenal start to finish. Really tough. But for my bronze medal pick, you mentioned it before, I chose Put Down That Weapon.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was my gold and silver I picked fairly quickly, but I have like 3 songs. I literally had to decide like 5 minutes before we went on because there's so many good songs. But yeah, to have that song, you just have this rousing powerhouse of an album opener in Beds Are Burning that says, hey, like you said, we're going to empty the tank. We're going to hit you over the head. We're going to get your attention. But then immediately after that, we're going to slow it down and you need to listen because this song is super important. Because if we don't do something, the world's going to end with all these crazy, at the time, Cold War battles and whatnot. Anyway, I just thought the more I listened to it, and again, made me think of Rob Hurst and some of the harmonizing, especially in the chorus. Happens to be an emergency. The way they sing together starts off slow, but then just kind of starts building, kind of explodes in the middle, and then right back down. The musicianship, the transitions, phenomenal. Yes. I don't think I appreciated the song as much when I first got the album, but the more I listen to it now, I'm like, wow, incredible song. That's my bronze medal pick.
But for me, I have to go with, when you start a fucking album, bum, 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 and then you get this thunderous drop on the downbeat of the drums, and then you get that throbbing bass line. Come on. Yeah, so I had to hand it over to Beds Are Burning. I know that's kind of a popular pick, but who cares? I love the video. I love the fact that when I had my 4th graders learn how to sing that song, they instantly fell in love with it. Instantly. It's just a fucking, it's masterful in its muscle. It's got a lot of muscle to it. And I love in the video, like when they're in the Jeep and they're moving and with all the people, the way they synchronize that with the actual song, all that energy, it's ferocious. So yeah, I'm going Beds Are Burning. And I want to actually give you a quote here that I found from Rob Hurst. And these are his words. He said, when this album came out, to write Australian music that people overseas could get into and understand, which would enlarge their whole vision of Australia way past Vegemite sandwiches and kangaroo hops. So, all right, let's transition to our silver medal.
So brutal for me not to put this gold because I love it so much, but my silver is The Dead Heart. Ooh. Yeah, I bet you thought I was going gold with that one, and you could. There's no reason it couldn't be. Yeah, right in the heart of that album. Boom. Track 6. You've got you've had your Beds Are Burning. You've had your dream world. You've had these big rousing anthems. And then, kind of kicking off the second half of that album. I could just see, flipping the vinyl or flipping the tape back in the day. And here comes this just lovely, quiet, pensive song about the Aborigines and their challenges and everything that happened and how they were wronged. And what really gets me on that song is, I love the song, but about the last minute of that song, that music and how it just slowly widens down with an incredible acoustic guitar. And when you see it live and you see both those guys playing, you're just like, wow. And the way it just sort of just gently fades out. I think it's just one of the loveliest outros of any song I've ever heard. And such a powerful message delivered somehow with rhymes and catchy music. And it's just, to me, probably the most powerful song on the album when you talk about combining a message with incredible music and vocals.
And let's not forget, it has, in addition to that outro, it has the perfect twinkling ending,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
It's just, yeah, it's
And the doo doo doos, you know, like and the way that sort of builds. And when we've seen them live, they'll often sort of play some music you're not quite sure what it is, and then they kind of start with that very quiet, like doo 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 doo, very quiet, and they build it out. And the crowd goes crazy. Oh, phenomenal live song.
for me, I feel as though, okay, so Midnight Oil is known for obviously their high voltage energy, but when they slow it down a bit and they focus really on just creating, I think it's a conventional pop 4/4 time signature song. It really shines, and I'm going to get in that later on the other albums.
Hmm.
But uh, when they slow it down and they take you by quiet storm within their verse or their chorus, they can come up with a pop gem like this one. I'm going to read you the lyrics, and it goes something like this: There is enough. The law is carved in granite. It's been shaped by wind and rain. White law could be wrong. Black law must be strong. Of course, I'm talking about War Kana. With this song and with this album and other songs, I feel like this band has also given me a better understanding of geography and how much the land, how much they're honoring history and trying to use the rear view mirror as men to understand, where have we gone wrong? What can we do to give back? And yeah, so Warwick Herna is like one of those perfect pop songs that they do. And it just, I mean, it shimmers. Warwick Herna, Cars Will Roll, Don't Drink by the Water Hole, Court Fines on the Shop Front Wall, Beat the Grog and Save Your Soul. And when you see them sing that song live and bring all their vocals together, man, it sends goosebumps.
This land must change or land must burn. Man, that is powerful live. You can tell Peter Garrett just believes that with every fiber in his being, and when he sings that live with arm, arms outstretched, fist pumping. Oof. Yeah.
Well, and you know what it does? It also has the title of the album in there. And the way he says that, oh, God, so good. All right, can I guess your gold medal?
Sure.
Warwick Kerner.
That is correct. Yeah. For me to choose something over Dead Heart is extremely difficult on this album, but my goodness, you just hit on all the things that I was going to talk about. The way the song builds up, the naming of the album in the lyrics,
Yes.
the chorus, which just builds and builds and builds, and then this land must change or land must burn, and he says it a few times towards the end, and then just that bum 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 to end.
Yes.
Not the long, slow, elegant outro of Dead Heart, just bam 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 done. Just those, just those three notes. And when I listen to that album, it's always the one where I'm just like, I don't know how song was not some massive single. It's so catchy. It's so brilliant. It's so powerful in its message. And again, right there in the core of the album, and that song leading into Dead Heart, I mean, just forget it. Magical.
All right. What is my gold medal?
Your gold medal? I was going to guess your gold medal was Put Down That Weapon.
Good guess, but no.
Oh.
No. I know this is brutal, my friend. It was brutal.
Hmm.
All right, so
Can I guess one other?
yeah,
I think you've always been a fan of Bull Roar.
I have. I have. But no.
Oh, okay. Just when I thought I knew you.
No, I think after the last time we saw them in Oakland, and I remember you were staying with me, and I think we blasted the album after because we were just so in that post concert energy, the PCE. And when this song came on, I'm like, oh, turn this shit up. Um, so as you know, I've incorporated a lot of music in my classroom. But my first year of teaching, I brought this song into the classroom, and one of the boys I had was he was challenging, but he loved music. And there was one day the kids were cleaning up the room, and I used to put on just really fun, like Ramones cleanup music, The Blur, whatever. And all of a sudden, I hear him cleaning up with everyone. He's on the floor and he's doing this on his knees like he's a Navy SEAL. And he goes like this. Do 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 do
Uh,
do. I'm like, oh my God. And then to make it even better, he had the whole class doing that. And I was laughing so hard. I'm surprised I didn't tell you that.
you
The
got through to
Dead
him,
Heart.
man.
The Dead Heart is, I know I just used the word anthemic. It's an opus. It is their masterpiece. It is um I don't want to belabor it, but I think you kind of touched on all of it, as far as the qualities and the characteristics of why that song means so much to me. But there are so many parts in that song, all anchored down in that phenomenal bass work. And I learned, I don't know if you saw this in your research, but I learned Rob Hurst was saying that the original version, the tempo was so slow. It was like do 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 do. I mean, really slowed down. And they brought it back to the band. And like, no, let's we can give it a little bit more pep and energy. And what an amazing song to honor a group of people,
Hmm.
right? What a triumphant song. And I'm so glad you brought this up. And then I know we have to move forward here, but I love that you brought up the outro. When those horns kick in, it brings it up a whole nother notch. Do mining companies, pastoral companies, uranium companies. But when he's saying this, I mean, he does it with such vigor and he does it with such tremendous passion.
Got more rights than people.
Yeah.
He's
No.
mad. Yeah, you
Yeah.
feel it, and it's genuine. It's not some act.
No. And I had learned and that Peter Garrett, he lost his father due to a severe asthma attack,
Mm.
and he lost his mother in a fire,
Oh, jeez.
and that he was actually there and he survived it. So I wonder how much that has played into that explosiveness that comes out of him, right? So, anyways, just wanted to bring some context there. All right. So now we get to 1990. Some great albums. Sundays, Reading, Writing, Arithmetic, Ride, Release, Nowhere, Violator, The Razor's Edge, AC/DC. So we're looking at an album, Blue Sky Mining, released in 1990, that I will tell you right now, it is their crown jewel. It's the one, if someone says, what is your favorite Midnight Oil album? That's it. And I'll get into that later. We have Corporate Toxicity, Environmental Issues, more great songs about the past, which they do so well. A lot of tempo shifts, a lot of different arrangements. I feel as though they were kind of obviously riding on the coattails of that success and really like honing in on their craft as musicians. And then their live performances, Jesus God, oh, like just a tornado. So let's talk about Blue Sky Mining. Before you tell us your bronze medal, I just want to know quickly, what does this album mean to you?
This album to me is miraculous, because how could you not have a letdown from
Mm-hmm.
Diesel and Dust? That is a damn near perfect album. It's huge anthems. It's great from start to finish. I think of follow-ups to great albums, and they're almost never as good. There's usually some level of a letdown. Very few exceptions. This album may be better than Diesel and Dust, which is almost impossible to say. It's certainly on a par, I think, is the worst you could say about it. And to just not let Diesel and Dust go to their heads, or sort of let down from that, or have any lesser quality, is phenomenal. As you said, may have upped their game, still sounding like Midnight Oil, but taking their music in new directions, yet being just as powerful, but in a different way. I think it's a remarkable achievement. I know I've told you this story before, but my wife is Miss Pop Music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Janet Jackson, NSYNC, you name it. Very top 40 mainstream. And I will often put on an album while we're making dinner or something like that. And I will never forget the first time I put on Blue Sky Mining when we were making, and she was just like, whoa, like, what is this? Like, I could tell it sounded familiar to her. Like, she would know Beds Are Burning, you know, but she didn't know the songs. But I think she kind of recognized Peter Garrett, and she's like, about 4 songs into it, she's like, wow, this is amazing. And she rarely reacts to anything like that that's outside of the straight up pop music realm. So that's what this album means to me. Like, again, accessible to maybe people who aren't fans, yet still incredibly powerful, with deep messages and incredible musicianship and lyrics and vocals, and just the rare band I could think of that literally undeniably put out back-to-back masterpieces.
What is your bronze medal?
Again, brutal.
It's so hard.
So, I mean, but where I went for the bronze one is, one thing I love about this album is the sort of Jekyll and Hyde of the two halves of the album. And just the last 4 songs in this album are just very slow and very lovely, and yet still so powerful. And I really focused on the last 4 songs when I was re-listening to it, because I love them all. And I'm like, which one really grabs me? And on the last listen, I'm like, you know what? It's Antarctica.
Wow.
The last track, and it's so slow, but just so powerful when you listen to it. You know, it must be one place left in the world where we can breathe, and it's just, and again, it's that beautiful Midnight Oil formula where it's so powerful in its slowness, but then about 3/4 of the way, it just speeds up, hits you like a thunderbolt. But again, kind of similar to Dead Heart, although not as long of an outro. But again, you have this sort of powerful build up. You must be one place, music swirling and hitting this crescendo, and then stops, and just this lovely piano for about, I don't know, 15 seconds, and just sort of brings you back down, and just fades you out in a lovely, pensive way. That song really struck me upon recent listenings, and it's like,
This album is brooding in a different way. It's moody.
Good word for it.
It's very moody. And I'm going to pick my bronze as a song that, when they hit these bridges and they all sing, oh, gorgeous. Pack your bags full of guns and ammunition. Bills fall due for the Industrial Revolution. Mountains of Burma is my number 3 pick.
Scorch the earth so the earth surrenders. That's your slow. It's a lot like Antarctica. It's just the slow burning, super powerful song. Although that would never quite speeds up as much, but oh, so powerful.
It's got that snarl. It's got that rage. It's got the fist in the womb feel to it. It feels as though that song, I just love the composition. I love that it changes. And I think it's some of his best vocal work. Um, and again, it is moody. And yeah, it's a very strong song. So that's my pick. All right, silver medal for you.
All right. Well, somehow in Diesel and Dust, I missed all the rousing anthems. Somehow I left Beds Are Burning off my top three. I love Dream World. I love Sometimes. I didn't pick any of them, but I am not denying Forgotten Years its place in the Midnight Oil pantheon of rousing anthems. I was listening to this track, and I think this was the song that got my wife Tracy, song 4, and she heard it. She's just like, this is amazing. Like, it almost sounds like a pop song with the catchy music. But again, upon re-listening, the chorus of this song is so undeniable, especially when he sets it up with, who can remember? We've got to remember the hardest year. I mean, it just, and again, at the end where he shakes it up a little bit, the aching, breaking, heartbreak year or whatever. And then Binded Years, the Blinded Years, Desperate and Divided Years. And again, just the powerful, quick ending, the drumming. I just love it. But this, of all Midnight Oil songs, when I hear them, and there are many that get me fired up, this one every time is just that chorus just is so rousing and so amazing. I love it. So again, tough not to put it in the gold spot for me, but a very worthy silver medal.
So for me, I think for this song that it is the driving pistons, it's the engines, it's kind of that rocket that just moves the song into a different stratosphere. It is anthemic, where it's a song where it's kind of a community building song. It's the fists in the air. It's all of that. But my God, those opening chords, those notes on the bass, and then you have Peter Garrett sing this. Few of the sins of the father are visited upon the son. Hearts have been hard, hands have been clenched into fists too long. Oh God, you got to give the silver medal of Forgotten Years.
Look at us.
Yeah, it's magnificent.
Yeah, and it perfectly placed in the album.
Yes,
too. Just song 4. It's a little quieter. Songs 2 and 3, and then just bam,
right there. Right. So yeah, I'm going Forgotten Years. All right, your gold medal.
See if we're in agreement about this one too. When I looked at the 3 albums and I thought, what are the gold medal songs? This one was my easiest one to pick, and that is saying something, because I love me some War Kurna, and I love the Earth and Sun and Moon one too. However, when I listen to this album, and within 10 seconds I'm captivated, it's because the song Blue Sky Mine is so phenomenal. And I just love the kind of just little guitar intro, and then that harmonica when he hits it, and then the drums kick in. Yeah, exactly. Then the Rob Hirsch drumming, and then the hey, 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 hey. It's such an attention getter. And again, powerful message about, corporate greed and again, as with many Midnight Oil songs, I feel like some bands don't know how to end a song. They just go on and on and on, or they're rambling, or their music is too much, and just the lovely, in the end, the rain comes down, washes clean the streets of a blue sky town. Right into Stars of Warburton, which I love, which was my fourth pick for this album. Just like Beds Are Burning, incredible opener, powerful song, powerful message, beautiful music. Every time I hear it, I just love it. And to me, that was, as much as I love all the songs now, this was a no-brainer gold medal pick for me.
Yeah. And I don't think we've spoken highly enough about Bones and his phenomenal work that he used to do.
He rest in peace.
Yeah. Just how aggressive. But yeah, he came up with some just amazing bass lines that is one hell of a pick. And I think for me, that was actually my number 4. But then I'm like, no, this should be my number 1. I mean, again, like Beds Are Burning, you launch an album with this.
It's undeniable.
It's undeniable.
Yeah.
But so this one was very, this one took me back to the concert we went to in Berkeley, because although, it was so long ago, 1990, summer of 1990, I have flashes of that concert where we were in the pit and them playing Hercules and all that stuff. But I remember specifically when they were bringing the house lights down a bit, Peter Garrett took a shirt and he wrapped it around his head, right? And there's this unbelievable force. And he sat on a chair. And I remember the kind of like this red glow to him from the light. And I remember they pushed up his vocals. And this song is so fucking gorgeous to me. It is so beautiful. So my gold medal pick was One Country. Yeah. I think I love its message without it totally beating you over the head. I love it as a song about unity and really coming together and seeing what we can do. It's better as a human race. But I love the outro. He's bringing people together in his vocals. And I love the acoustic guitar work. Phenomenal. Just gorgeous. So yeah, it's One Country. Gets me every time. God. All right. So now we have 3-year kind of layover, a gap here. And we move into Earth, Sun, and Moon, their 8th album. Producer Nick Launay, who they've worked with before, and he's also a very famous producer, Killing Joke, Talking Heads, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And then he did obviously work with Red Sails in the Sunset, blah, blah, blah. Albums that came out in 1993, one of my favorites, U2 Zeropa, Bjork Debut, Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders, and a whole lot more. So with Earth and Sun and Moon, which you and I both regard as a really, really phenomenal, exceptionally strong album, I feel as though out of these 3, this is the one that gets the least amount of attention. But, God, it's got plenty of muscle. So, real quickly, what does this album mean to you?
It is a quiet masterpiece. Not that the whole album is quiet, but I feel like it's a band coming down from their high. Yeah. Diesel and Dust, Blue Sky Mine, huge tours, incredibly popular, mainstream acceptance, and I feel like this is a band in reflection mode and in pensive mode, and we still have a lot to say, and we're still going to have our rousing anthems, but we're going to have a little bit more on the sort of quiet storm side, slower, quieter, and again, just phenomenal. I would rate it 1 notch below Diesel and Dust and Blue Sky Mine.
What is your bronze?
Brutal. I went with the title track for the bronze. Love the song Earth and Sun and Moon. Again, just I think just a powerful message. The way it just one of those slow builders, and love the music in it, especially the guitars at the beginning and at the end, kind of, you know. I just love it. I think it's just a great song, and just sort of like all Midnight Oil albums, and this song in particular, just sort of timeless. You can just
Yes.
put it on. It doesn't sound dated. It's just really really good.
Great pick. All right. Well, for my bronze, I love a strong opener. They did it on the previous two, so why not keep going with that one?
Mm,
Feeding Frenzy.
love it.
Uh, God, again, I think it's kind of the hum of the highway of the. I hear this like I envision this Jeep out in the middle of nowhere, and they're just like returning back, going back to the land. Um, and I love the lyrics. Well, I'm as old as the hills, as young as the day, that nobody sees things in quite the same way. Computers and shovels, churches and brothels, mannequins and skeletons, cities and dust bowls. Here we go again. Um, yeah, I think to me that build up, that intro is just phenomenal, and it's a quieter build up. It's not as punchy as the previous two first tracks on the other albums. Um, but yeah, it's
Um, but again, it kind of reminds me of my Silver Metal, Forgotten Years, Dead Heart. It's like, what is the song in the middle of the album that is just bridging the first half to the second half and is going to keep your attention? And to me, that's Truganini.
ooh, yes.
Love that song. Track 5. There's been some kind of slower songs actually right after Earth and Sun and Moon. Just boom, Truganini comes on, and again, fist pumping rousing anthem. I see the Union Jack in flames. Let it burn. I have seen that live, and he just goes crazy. And again, that big rousing anthem. I see Truganini in flames, and then slower, just that driving drum beat, and the world won't back down, and just that. I love it. I love a good rousing anthem, and that one again from the opening loud guitars to get your attention into the lyrics and the chorus, and
The harmonica.
yeah, again his harmonica work.
I'm going to go with My Silver Metal Pack. This is a song I feel like they kind of pushing into the realm of psychedelia. They were I get a sense that they just kind of went for it and just were improvising. They made this beautiful video for it. I saw it and I hadn't seen it in years yesterday. Um, but god damn it, I love a good bridge, as I've told you before. And when they sing this part, sharks are coming up to feed. I believe it's time to move. Divers coming up to breathe, but I'm not in the mood. You got to go Outbreak of Love. Oh, God. I love that song. And I love it because of what I mentioned earlier, but I feel it's kind of like it's a longer song and it takes its sweet ass time. But like Chuganini, with each time they do the chorus, I feel like though they push up the vocals a little bit more for you to really feel its punch and power. So I'm going with Outbreak of Love, Silver Metal.
Excellent choice. Guess what my gold medal song is?
No!
Can I just say what you said? This is the end of the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Outbreak of Love. I've always loved that song, and I love how this album ends. I love the last few handful of songs. I love Tell Me the Truth. I love In the Valley. I love all those songs. But there's something about Outbreak of Love. And yeah, like you said, it's luxurious pace, which is fairly unusual for a Midnight Oil song, and the way it builds. And I know this is the end of the beginning, and I just it just really stands out to me, especially on the second half of the album when the last handful of songs are a little bit slower and more pensive and melodic. And I know about the video you're talking about, and I'm just like, man,
It's gorgeous.
just the whole package of this song is just undeniable, and to me, the standout track of this album.
Oh man, I love that gold medal pick. All right, you want to guess mine?
See, it's hard. There's so many ways you can go in this album, and
I
there's so
know.
many,
I know. That's the
so
fun.
many different songs. I just mentioned "In the Valley." Is there any chance it's that?
So now, when I saw that version last night of Peter Garrett and Rob Hurst and Jules Holland on the piano, I'm like, yeah, that is my number one. That's my gold medal. Yeah, it's a real personal song about his family, his parents, grandparents, and of course, we're talking about "In the Valley."
Yes.
Oh,
Incredible. Yeah.
it is.
How do I leave that off the top three? I don't know, but I could say that about a lot of songs on this album.
Well, and it's to me, it's kind of like War Current a little bit, where it is kind of a, and I'm no musician, but it is kind of a standard pop song, right? And it's got a lot of sparkle and shine to the acoustic guitar work, but yeah, it's got a lot of pop and zip to it. But again, the lyrics, great lyrics, and it's a song that I think out of all those songs, when I listen to it, I want to hear it again and again and again and again. And I think you said this about Blue Sky Mining. Wherever you are, it just fires you up. That's that song for me.
Mm-hmm.
It fires me up, but not in a loud, rambunctious way. It's like the celebration of who we are as people, but in I don't know. I just it's just a beautiful song. So that is my gold medal. Now, you didn't know this was coming, so I got to ask you this question because I didn't want you to think about it for too long.
Okay.
So I can always cut it out if you can't come up with an answer.
You can't rattle me. You can't phase me already. Bring it on.
All right, right now, out of all the Midnight Oil songs from any album, what is your number one song?
Well, you won't be surprised. I do have a Dave's Favorites playlist.
Oh,
Shocking, I know. And actually, I do believe the only Midnight Oil songs that are on there are Dead Heart and Warrakurna. Now, that's a very limited. I really try to keep that set list tight or playlist tight. So there's not a lot of room there. But yeah, I would probably say Warrakurna. But you know, the one song that you and I always find, and I feel like I don't hear it enough because it wasn't on one of these three albums. But man, every time I hear Hercules, I mean, forget about it.
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I mean, you were talking about a rousing anthem.
Yeah.
So Hercules is right. It's certainly, if you were going to ask me my favorite, not on these three albums, to be Hercules by a mile. As much as I love some of their other early stuff. But yeah, I would say favorite, if I just had to pick one, I would say Warrakurna.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Oh God, Blue Sky Mine. I should put Blue Sky Mine on that. I know. I'm talking about it today. I'm like, how is that not on there?
I know. See, that's the thing. You go back and go, oh, fuck, I forgot about this one, right?
Yeah. What would you say to that?
Oh, without a doubt. When we saw them in Berkeley and they played Hercules.
Hercules, yeah.
I had never seen anything like that.
The crowd went insane.
Insane. That's like the Oppenheimer song. I mean, that song is just, it's a full-on detonation of just incredible energy. It's everything encapsulated in their approach to music. And everybody gets a chance to shine in that song. And it's a great song that really connects to the audience. No, that by far, that's the song I go, God damn. How did they do it?
Yeah. I mean, how many hundreds of concerts have we been to between the two of us? And I can rarely, and I think they play that, if not every time, most times we've seen them. I can rarely think of a band playing a song that has gotten the crowd more consistently fired up than them playing that song.
So do you remember? I don't know if I don't know how much you remember them playing that song in concert, but I clearly remember when he sings this. Um, uh, who waits for the planes to come when everybody's got you on the run? So when he sings that part, and he was just flying across the stage, and then he gets on the edge of the stage, and he's got this monstrous paws up in the air. Is this something to remember? Oh my God. That's what performing's all about.
Yeah. To me, I think they played a couple times during the encore, and I'm like, wow, if that's not the best encore live song, I don't know what is. I mean, they got the people fired up and the band fired up. I mean, they're
Yeah.
always seem thrilled to play that one. Yeah. Good call. Yeah. Undeniably powerful song. And was that just a single? Was that on one of their
That was on
albums?
their EP, Species to CC to
Oh, and an
Ceases.
EP.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I never associate that with a specific album. And I guess it's not a full length one.
No, and I love that about some bands. In fact, I just had this discussion with a gentleman when we were doing the national. We picked our number one song. We're like, that was never on a studio album, on one of their albums.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is that left off? You're going to get the final word on Midnight Oil. Anything else you want to express or share?
You know, the only thing that came to mind when we were talking about this is how many bands out there can 100% deliver the goods both in the studio and live over and over and over again. You and I have talked many times. It's incredible how few bands or singers can string together 3 undeniably great albums. It is shockingly rare. And to be able to not only do that, but every time we've seen them put on an astounding live show.
Yeah.
Where musicianship is great, the set lists are great, touching on all eras of their music. Peter Garrett sounding great, having a few choice rants about whatever's on his mind. But I was thinking about it, especially when you and I were talking. I'm like, that is a really rare combination to be phenomenal in the studio and phenomenal live. And I think they're one of the rare bands that can pull off both at an exceptional level. And that's their legacy to me. And while also having very powerful messages, not just these empty songs, but just great songs that also pack a punch when it comes to the message.
Well, they're at they're top craftsmen of their instruments, of their talent. They understand how good they are without being braggadocious in any manner. They seem very humble, and yeah, and for people who have never seen them live, I'm sorry. And if you can ever catch Peter, I know he's got a new album coming out next year, and maybe they'll do another tour. But yeah, you hear the album and go, oh my God, this is so powerful. But when you see it live, it stays with you for days. It rattles you.
Well, and I'll tell a very quick story about that. I have a friend up here in Seattle named David, and he and I have bonded over going to a lot of concerts together, but he's much more like rock and roll alternative guy. But he asked me once, he's like, hey, he knows my background is more modern rock or whatever you want to call it. He's like, okay, so you've been to a ton of concerts. Like, what bands do you think I would like to see in concert that might not really be up my alley? And I immediately thought of 2. I'm like, you should see The Cure and you should see Midnight Oil. And he was very familiar with The Cure and, knew Beds of Burning. He's like, Midnight Oil? He's like, really? I'm like, phenomenal live, great guitar work. I really think you'll like them. And so he and I went to the show in Seattle the one time I saw them without you. And afterwards he was just blown away. He's just like, wow, I've never enjoyed a concert so much where I did not know like 90% of the songs. was like, that was phenomenal. Trust DVG. And then he saw The Cure. The Cure came to Seattle this year, and he went, not with me, but he went with I think his wife or something. And yeah, he just sent me a one-word text. He's like, thanks.
Oh.
I talked to him later about it. He's like, wow, phenomenal. I had no idea. So, but yeah, just the fact that someone who probably knows Beds Are Burning and was kind of sort of recognized Dead Heart or Blue Sky Mine come out of that show just being like, whoa, they blew me away. I was like, that's Midnight Oil.
Yeah.